Alright guys, what's up? This is Stevan Micic and I'm here today with my boy Anthony Wesley. We're here today to do a tier list and we're doing the best college NCAA rivalries in wrestling. But before we get into it guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn the notification bells on. Also, we got these repping. ONEV. ONEV's dropping this Saturday, our first official launch for the website, for the brand. Capsule 1's coming December 21st, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Be ready. ONEV.world. Link in the description. Alright, so what are we doing today?
Ooh, we're doing some of the best college rivalries, NCAA, and we got some good ones. We got some OGs, we got some new school.
We stuck I think our oldest match is like 2005, 2000, something like around that era. So we didn't go too far back since like 2000s. Yeah, we didn't go like way back, which I want you guys to tell me what I'm missing if there's some good ones, some old ones. But I think we got the majority of the best ones. Basically starting at the top, we got Never Forget, because this is like, these are your ones when you think about a college rivalry.
That's always like up there. It's always in the conversation. It's always like, oh, you remember when? Like, those are the, you never forget.
Then Always Fireworks. These are like kind of the tier underneath just because like the matches maybe were a little bit more flip-flop and you just can't predict it and scores are flying and you have no idea really who's going to win the matches. Next, we got Highly Anticipated. That's like we're looking out for it. We're excited for these matches. One-Sided, I put in quotes because this is like, you know, maybe they have a long running history and it's like really lopsided. So like one person maybe has like, you know,
a lot more victories rather than only one, or maybe they didn't even win, but still we like to watch them wrestle.
We got to recognize it. And then Inevitable, this is like, we knew what's happening here.
We knew it was coming. It was gonna happen. But
this is a fun tier.
It's a good tier. It's a good tier.
So we're starting it hot. We got Bo Nickel versus Miles Martin.
They wrestled a lot. They did wrestle a lot.
I think this one's Always Fireworks for me.
Yeah.
Because the fact that like when these two wrestled, they was like gonna go upper body. They're gonna throw each other. I think the first time they wrestled, Miles Martin became an NCAA champ by pinning him, right?
Something like that. I want to believe that. I mean, they did wrestle in duels. They wrestled at Big Tens. It was.
But mostly Bo Nickel had the upper hand. But Bo Nickel won most of them, I think, except once or twice. One of which being Miles Martin pinning him in the NCAA finals. And then I think like 2 years later, Bo Nickel pinned Miles Martin in the NCAA finals.
And that's when he did the jump. It was like, this is what we do. This is what we do. It was that. And he beat him. He lost to him the couple weeks before at Big Tens.
That's where Miles Martin got the second win. Because then Bo Nickel pinned him in the final. So, I mean, yeah, those two were just unpredictable, and Bo Nickel dominated a lot of his matches being a three-time NCAA champ, but Miles Martin always was kind of like the kryptonite. I mean, I wouldn't call him kryptonite, but you could never count him out, like, just being for some reason.
He was always in the match.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Always Fireworks. It could be Never Forget, but I think Always Fireworks for me for now. Here we go. We got our first, this is Never Forget right here.
It's certified. Put a stamp on it. You know, it's...
Darian Caldwell versus Brent Metcalf. These two, especially the finals where Darian Caldwell upset Brent Metcalf. He did like the unthinkable. This was like the biggest college upset I think ever in all-time history, and dominated the match too. It wasn't like he caught him in a pin. I mean, he headlocked him, took him down a couple times.
Yeah, and it was a good match for Darian Caldwell, but he did spladle him in another match. So we're not gonna forget that he did kind of do it. I like my boy Brent. He coached me at Iowa State, but. This is the backflip, the push. It's just
everything. This is Never Forget. This is This is Never Forget. I don't know if it's gonna be number one, but
it's definitely Never Forget because you're always gonna remember the backflip.
Yep. We got another great one. We got Tony Ramos versus Logan Stieber. I think this is a tough one to relate because I think more of it, like the finals was controversial, where I think Tony Ramos beat Logan Stieber one of the years. Because Logan Stieber is a four-time national champion, and like two of which years were super controversial. The JO takedown, which would have been two now or three now because of the rules, and they changed it because that was a takedown for JO. And then the Ramos, the back points, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. This one's tough. Highly anticipated.
I would say it's highly anticipated because you got the stare down. You have. I mean, he was four-timer, you know. So
Logan Stieber versus the Tony Ramos stare down, and they wrestled a couple times too. I think Logan Stieber did. It was like he was the favorite, but that one match was like made Ramos kind of like, man, he deserved the win. So
he was tough, you know. He couldn't. Yeah. You never could count him out ever.
What would you put it? Not one-sided, probably.
No, I'd say highly anticipated because like they're both such high-level wrestlers, and you can't really go wrong with watching either one of them wrestle, let alone against each other.
All right, we got another one. We got Fix versus RBY. We could probably say...
I'd say it's pretty one-sided.
But we could probably put this one, instead of making this a one-sided one, we could probably go, this is like Fix versus the NCAA tournament. Our NCAA finals. This is
finals,
Fix versus the NCAA finals,
speaking
man.
of kryptonite, I think that's definitely one of them for Dayton Fix.
Yeah, bro, I might throw that one in inevitable. It was when Fix made the finals, man, 4-time finalist, inevitable.
Even Jim Gibbons says someone's like, that's a tough one, you know. First time ever, you know. I mean, there's got to be someone. But
He's the best college wrestler that never did it, for sure. Just for in college only. Here's one. We got Suriano versus Spencer Lee. I gotta go with highly anticipated because now I think they only wrestled once in college.
Only one time, and then Lee got him. Lee got him in college.
But they've wrestled so many times through high school as kids as being like two of the top best wrestlers in the country at the small weights. They have to go in as highly anticipated because everyone always wants to see Spencer Lee and Nick Suriano wrestle.
Yeah.
And that NCAAs was the only one we got to see in college.
Yeah,
they didn't get to wrestle in the freestyle matchup or whatever.
Nope, they didn't wrestle in freestyle.
So they had, like after college. So it's just always one that everyone's always like waiting on or wants to see, and everyone's talking about it. So
and then Suriano went up to 133, so like they didn't really match up. So it was just
So I'm gonna put it in highly anticipated just because of like the hype behind them wrestling,
and it might happen
in
way
the future.
More in the future.
Yeah, especially at 57 kilos if Suriano if he continues to wrestle and goes down. Okay, so we got, in my opinion, this is the #1 never forget college rivalry. It's David Taylor versus Kyle Dake. You could put this one one-sided, though.
It's relatively one-sided, but gosh.
Well, it is one-sided. Dake has won every single time against David Taylor, which is insane.
They wrestled in high school.
Every time win. 4 times in college, every time Dake won. And then in freestyle, every time they wrestled, Dake won. I mean, bro, it's like 8 or 9 to nothing. I mean, this could be the #1 one-sided match, but the fact that when they matched up in the college finals, Dake going for his 4th NCAA title against David Taylor, both two of America's greatest wrestlers, and now they're friends. They're training partners. They're very good friends.
Homies.
What do you think? Is this one-sided?
That's never forget, because like these are juggernauts in the sport, right?
Yeah.
These are guys that, I mean, I know David Taylor just retired, but these are guys that had longevity. They've been in the game for a long time, since high school, and they're at the highest level. And
never forget.
That's going to be in the mix for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. This one also is building up. There are David Carr versus Keegan O'Toole. They're both David Carr's graduated, right?
David Carr's done.
They're 3-2 against each other, I think, in favor of David.
David got him. He's what, 5-time or 4-time Big 12 champ? I think it's 5 because of the COVID year. So he's
2-time NCAA champ, David Carr. And Keegan O'Toole is also a 2-time NCAA champ, and he's going for his 3rd this year.
Yep.
And both of them have wrestled so many times. And I think it's crazy because, I don't know, they're not like both in schools like in the Big Ten. Neither are in the Big Ten. You got
both the Big 12 now.
Oh, is Mizzou's in the MAC? They're not in the MAC?
Nope.
Okay, they were though when they were wrestling, so they never wrestled in conference.
They wrestled 1 time in conference, and that was his senior year for the fifth title, and then Keegan O'Toole beat him in the NCAA finals.
Yeah. So for me, I also think this is an always fireworks match because they're both stylistically different wrestlers. Because Keegan's really long, lanky, can scramble really well.
Cradle from anywhere.
Yes, cradle from anywhere. And then David Carr, outside wrestler, very explosive, super athletic, a really good technique. So, I mean, both just wrestling each other. I mean, this was like the new era of like the
rivals.
The rivals.
Like,
real rivals. Like this is
going back and forth. I mean,
this is my favorite actual rivalry because like of the amount of times they go back and forth against each other, and it was like so unpredictable. Like,
and it was 3 times in 1 year in the dual, Big 12s, and NCAAs.
Yeah. Like, so for me, this is always fireworks.
And it's obviously happened last year. It's way more recent. We might have a little recency bias, and David Carr's my homie, but man, there were some great scraps.
I agree, brother. I think we got another one. This one, honestly, is some people forget about. We got Chris Pendleton versus Ben Askren. Now, this people forget how good Chris Pendleton was. Chris Pendleton was a 3-time NCAA champ from Okie State, and literally, I think he beat Ben Askren. I thought every single time they wrestled, but Anthony just told me one time Ben Askren beat him.
One time Ben Askren did beat him, but it wasn't NCAA, so
yeah. But Ben Askren couldn't beat him to like once Chris Pendleton graduated. That's when Ben Askren won his NCAA title. So I mean, it was like 7 or 8 to 1 win. So for me, this is a one-sided.
Yeah, it's pretty lopsided. I mean, Ben Askren obviously did
great.
phenomenal.
I mean,
but like,
yeah. This was this was his kryptonite, and it probably
yeah.
helped him spur to get better for Ben Askren to get to the next level.
I mean, he was breaking records on Mizzou.
Yeah, so I mean, just look at how good Chris Pendleton was, and I feel like people forget about him. He's one of the most underrated American wrestlers, college wrestlers, and he's a three-time NCAA champ.
And I'm a little biased because of his hair. I mean, it's not. I have this naturally, but man, he funky. And he was,
yeah. Oh, are you talking about Ben Askren?
Yeah, that's the man right there. I mean, coming up, you got a couple dogs. Got a couple dogs coming up.
Yeah, we got now. This one is another amazing one. Also, people I think don't recognize as much as Jordan Burroughs versus Andrew Howe. Okay,
very under the radar.
Under the radar because look, Burroughs was in his prime. I mean, he went in 2011 all the way through 2020. Really, he just had won everything. But Andrew Howe was the next man up. I mean, Andrew Howe beat everybody. Andrew Howe, he beat David Taylor. He beat Kyle Dake. He beat Marable. He beat everybody good that was in the ring. Daringer. He beat everybody to make it. And in college, that's who. And Andrew was an NCAA champ. They were NCAA champs meeting up. That's who Burroughs had to beat to make the, you know what I'm saying, to win the tournament. That's who they matched up in the Olympic trial finals.
Olympic trials.
World team finals.
World team finals.
Yeah, and this was in 2012, Andrew won one of the matches against Burroughs. So it wasn't a completely one-sided one. I would say this has to go in it. And, I mean, and it just even through then to 2016 when Andrew was at the end of his career, goes and makes the world team or the Olympic trials again for Burroughs, but Burroughs beats him. So I mean, for me, this was highly anticipated because I mean, for me, Andrew Howe being from my school, always growing up, and also being such a big fan of Jordan Burroughs, for me, this was highly anticipated.
Very much.
But
I think it's very underrated. It flew under the radar. People that didn't know who Andrew Howe was, and they're just watching for Jordan Burroughs, but. I mean, like you said,
people don't realize how good Andrew was, and he was. I mean, Burroughs even said,
"Give him his flowers. Give Andrew Howe his flowers."
Yeah. I'm putting him in highly anticipated right here, just because it was two amazing wrestlers. I mean, Burroughs even said Andrew Howe was the best guy in the world at one point besides himself. That was the guy he had to beat to make the team. That was his gold medal match at Worlds for him. So give credit where credit's due. All right, next we got Chenzo versus Aymar. Okay, this is always fireworks, and for me, it goes to first. I think first.
I would say it's first.
Always fireworks.
Goodness.
Because these guys would just go upper body immediately, just over-unders, start the match. Okay, who's throwing who?
Who's throwing who? Freaking inside trips left and right. Just, oh my goodness.
I mean, this is the same for me where it was Bo Nickel versus Miles Martin. But I think the being at 165 kind of more of just the staple weight class. Both were two-time NCAA champs.
Yep. Wrestled each other at Big Tens. There was so much anticipation for this, and that's why it was always fireworks. Because people were ooh, they're wrestling each other again. Yeah. And they had different builds for body types. And
I think they didn't have totally different body types, but both of them were just really strong, could throw, athletic, could wrestle their positions, especially Vincenzo, and then Aymar, obviously, I think being a little bit more just real physical. Yeah. I think both of them, it was crazy because I think Aymar was a two-time NCAA champ his first 2 years, and then came in, and Vincenzo beat him both times in the finals to win his 2 NCAA titles, which then Vincenzo didn't win after that either.
Nope.
So it was just, I think both of them being two-time.
That might be the only 2 wins that he has against him as well. I think he only has 2 wins against Aymar.
So Aymar's up in the series 3-2.
I believe so, but the 2 losses are in the NCAA finals under the lights. So
and most recent losses. So where Vincenzo took his lumps earlier and caught up at the end, but it wasn't enough for the title race. I mean, I think recency is more important. You could be down in a rubber match or be down in the series, but I think if you won the most recent one, you're the better wrestler.
Because you develop, you get get better game plans.
For sure. Okay, so that one's always fireworks. So this is a sleeper rivalry. I had to add my boy Paul Petrov in here. All right, for Russell at Bucknell, my training partner. This is Paul Petrov versus Darian Cruz. And not many people know this. Darian Cruz, NCAA champion. Paul has wrestled him 4 times. Paul has beaten Darian Cruz 3 out of 4 of the times they've wrestled. The only time I think Paul lost to him was at the EIWA finals the year. I don't know if it was the year that Cruz won or if Cruz was an All-American.
I think it was the year that he won it.
Yeah, and Paul said he lost. It was a match that came down where the ref and even Darian afterwards was bro, I think you beat me, and that's when Paul's well, it doesn't really matter.
It is, right?
And Paul made it to an All-American that year, and Darian I think won the tournament. So I think that's crazy. We gotta show my boy Paul some respect for those you don't know how good Paul was wrestling at college at 25. So I gotta put this one. It wasn't one-sided. I mean, maybe for Paul it was one-sided. So I gotta put this one right here. Baby.
I would say it's a little bit one-sided.
Paul had his number.
We are a little biased for our boy. But
my boy Pee. Another great one-sided one here. Gilman versus Tomasello. Gilman always wrestled Tomasello, especially in freestyle and even in the college years. Gilman had his number, and the one time that I think he beat him every single time. I think he's beaten Tomasello every time. The one year that Gilman got caught and pinned by Zeke Moisey, that's who Tomasello made it to the finals and beat Zeke and won the tournament when Gilman got caught and pinned. So this has got to go one-sided for me
that was
as well.
2015?
2015.
That was when
Tomasello won his title.
And that's when Ohio State won
I think
team
so.
title too.
So that's pretty insane. All right, we got another one. We got Spencer Lee versus Seabass versus Sebastian Rivera. Now, this one, I didn't know. I think they're split 2-2. But Rivera won the last two matches. They were mad up. Like, he caught on. He got Spencer's number. He had it. I mean, and
figured it out. I mean, obviously they did well on the international scene with an Olympic silver and
Olympic bronze from both guys.
I mean, jeez.
So this one I think is highly anticipated in my opinion because I thought, I was at 33, both of those guys were at 25 when they were wrestling each other.
And then Sebastian bumped up and
yeah. I took out Seabass that year. We did like a #1 versus #1 when he bumped up, remember?
Oh man.
So it's that year right after, I think that same year. And I took it to him. But also, to be fair, he was at 25. I was 33. He was small. And how crazy is it now that I was wrestling 57 kilos and he was at 65?
Yeah, now he's 65, just all buffed up and stuff.
Yeah, he is. Man. So I'll give this one also. I'm going to put this one in highly anticipated because just like how crazy whenever they wrestle it was.
I would say it's probably the last one in my opinion.
Yeah, I will too. And they didn't meet up in the NCAA finals because Rivera got upset the year that Spencer won. So it was like a little bit crazy. And there's always a trending pattern with a lot of these rivals where like one maybe had the better over the other one, and then the one who had the better record like lost or had some sort of thing.
It happens. NCAAs, man. You never know.
All right, I had to add this one. I think this one's a great one for myself. We have me versus Pletcher. I know everyone always think when they think about me about how many times me and Luke Pletcher wrestled from Ohio State. He beat me the very first time we wrestled. It was a crazy upset. I thought, well, like it was what I expected and really put Pletcher on the map. And after that, he stayed consistent. But then after that, I beat him every single time. The dual meet, Big Ten finals, I won. NCAA semifinals. The next year, I beat him in the duel. I beat him at Big Tens. I beat him at NCAA. So I think I was up like it's 5 or 6 to 1. And I think you could put this in highly anticipated, but especially for like the Big Ten and the NCAA semis. But I'm gonna put it in one-sided, even though he does have a win.
I would say it's a little more one-sided, a little biased, but I would say because of the COVID year, the 2020, I think he was coming in at #1.
Yeah,
for NCAAs.
I was Olympic redshirting this year, and Luke went up to 41 and beat Nick Lee to win Big Tens. He was the #1 seed, number one in the country, and then COVID didn't happen. Man, I felt so bad for Luke. He's a great guy.
Too, man.
So I was hoping
that was
for
his
him
chance. That was the time for him too. And
I'll put this one in the one-sided matchups. I'll put it down low actually, just because we got Miles Amin versus Aaron Brooks. Now this one's great because it was a one-year series, 2 top guys, Miles being an Olympic bronze medalist, Aaron being a 2-time NCAA champ at the time, going for his 3rd. Aaron beat Miles in the duel. Big Ten finals, Miles beats him for Michigan to win the Big Ten title over Penn State for us to win in Team 100.
Team 100, yeah.
And Miles not only, he took him down to win it, lets him go thinking he's up by a point. They go to OT, and Miles takes him down off the whistle again. Hits the ice in the vein, Sully. Miles wins, and then they go to the
confidence right there, because
and then they go to the finals, and Brooks ended up taking it over. But for me, that was a great rubber match series. I mean, it could have went either way, all matches.
In 1 year?
In 1 year, 3 times in 1 year. So I got to give Miles that one for me is like the #1 highly anticipated one.
I mean, you were also like there. Physically watching it, highly anticipated regardless.
It was just enough not to, I wouldn't put it in the fireworks just because it was like, they were like nail biter matches, and they could be, but it wasn't like launches and throws, and they didn't wrestle enough. I don't think like 3 times in 1 year, that was it, but
if it was like for the past 2 years and they wrestled 3 more times, maybe more always fireworks, or because Aaron Brooks is not going for headlocks like Darian Caldwell. He's not going for inside trips to try.
Yeah, no, they're both wrestling like world-class wrestlers that they are. So
good stances,
I think for me,
defense,
great defense, great scrambling. Yep. So we got DeSanto versus me. We were looking through some comments. We were reading this up, and someone on Reddit said one of the greatest rivalries. What did they say?
It was DeSanto versus sportsmanship.
So we might have to put that one for this. Put that in inevitable.
He was pointing at people in the duel at Iowa State. He was shoving other guys.
He slammed that Nebraska kid. He almost fought Suriano. He tried to do the Carlo Kimura over me. Gotta put that one in
the Carlo
inevitable.
Kimura, of course, you know. inevitable. So the sportsmanship. I mean, obviously he's toned it down a little bit in the senior circuit. During college, he was a menace. Ooh, Mark Hall versus Valencia, Zahid, the dog, the Cali boy, versus Mark Hall, that Minnesota tough,
the child prodigy.
He was the chosen one.
So both of these two wrestled and it's crazy because they were both on my USA under 20 team together. I think Mark was 79 and Zahid was 86 or something like that. So it's funny because they're friends and they get along. At least they were. So I think it's crazy that they were both such a rivalry, especially in that time at 74.
I mean, now they're
the first time they wrestled, I think, was in the NCAA semis or quarters where Zahid lost to the headgear pull. And then after that, I think that Zahid had his number every time, right?
No, I think it was Zahid first, and then headgear pull.
And Mark Hall won the NCAAs that year.
Yep, and then Zahid won again. That's when he did the guitar and he smashed it.
The guitar smash. Yes. So for me, these two were great because I don't know.
They're both freaks. I mean, they're Zahid growing up. I'm from California. I've known Zahid a long time, and he's been that guy for such a long time. And same with Mark Hall. I mean, Mark Hall even wrestled Anthony Valencia at who's number one. Yeah. So there's been
even a family rivalry a little bit. And I think it's Zahid being from they're both always never wrestled really in, they were maybe one tournament they could have matched up with. It was gonna happen at NCAA. So it's just the fact that
that's where they
could only that's their only time they were gonna wrestle each other. So Arizona the East versus West, and it was good. I gotta give this one up high. So for me, this could be, what do you think?
I would say it was always fireworks because the taunting at the end, there was always controversy. It was always kind of close, and there's style matchups with the flexibility of Mark Hall versus the slickness of Zahid.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one behind Mymar and Bo because it just wasn't as exciting, but it was
it's highly anticipated. But there's always something happening with the headgear pull. That's
behind almost behind the extra details behind the last two we got, what we say, Marinelli versus someone said Marinelli versus the NCAA tournament, so we had to add this, or Iowa in March in general,
Iowa in March
with all the injuries, the ACL tears,
Iowa
the braces, the shoulders,
shoulder slings, you got knee braces, ACLs, LCLs, but Marinelli versus the NCAA tournament. I mean, no diss, but I mean he came in I think two times at number one, completely undefeated. I mean,
all I know is my boy Tyler Meisinger from Michigan. One of my boys, and he's on Flow now, works for Flow. He drew Marinelli first round of the NCAAs the COVID year, and it never happened. Listen, who really won that one? Who really won that match?
I mean, Marinelli was coming in undefeated 2 years. I mean, he got I think 5th or something his freshman year. And then after that, he was number one coming into the NCAA tournament, undefeated a couple times, and he just couldn't put it together.
It wasn't his friend.
It wasn't his friend, but I mean AA, but still, March for the Hawkeyes is not their friend.
Last one, we got Mark Perry versus Johnny Hendricks. Okay, this one,
that's the OG.
This for me is a never forget. This is a one-sided one, just kind of how the Taylor and Dake one is. But
so many layers to this.
Yes, because Johnny Hendricks just beat Mark Perry pretty much because they're both from Oklahoma. Mark Perry's uncle, is John Smith, and you got the whole legacy of Oklahoma State and Mark Perry because they recruit Johnny Hendricks to Oklahoma State. They're at the same weight.
Over Mark Perry, and it's
his own nephew, and Mark Perry ends up going to Blair for high school and commits to Iowa, the rivals, Oklahoma State and Iowa. And Johnny Hendricks had his number through college. I mean Johnny Hendricks is a 3-time NCAA champ, right? Or two-time NCAA champ.
But I think he beat him.
They make the finals of the NCAAs, and Mark Perry beats him. Johnny Hendricks' last college match. This is a never forget.
And that's for the OG heads. Those are the people that I remember watching these matches. When I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh! You have the iconic.
There's so much behind that one,
and there's so many layers. You got John Smith. You got
the Perry family. You got the Hendricks. The whole Oklahoma versus Iowa. I mean, we could go into that one for ages, but I think that's never forget, and that's a lock. So
that is an iconic one for sure.
All right, that's it for today. We got it. Hope you guys enjoy these NCAA rivalries. Let me know if we forgot any below. Comment your favorite rivalry, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. World Champs and everything we do, baby. Let's get it.